Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Color Authority podcast. I hope you're sitting down because this is going to be one dynamic conversation. I'm going to be interviewing Stefan Nielsen. Now, that probably doesn't say much to you, but Trendstefan probably does because he's one of Sweden's and Scandinavia's most influential trend experts. He's constantly on foot. He visits about 30 fairs a year, world cities to scout the latest in design, lifestyle, sustainability, retail, and hospitality. These insights are shared in various magazines and at seminars. Trendstefan also runs the design arena Design Galleriet and is most visible on social media under Trendstefan. Swedish magazine Rum has listed Trendstefan as one of the most influential people in architecture and design in Sweden. Let's find out what's happening in the world and what trends we should be looking at. Good morning, Stefan. Welcome to the Color Authority podcast. How are you this morning?
I'm great, thank you. I need to think a bit. Am I good? Yeah, I am good. I'm usually very optimistic, and today is one of those good days, I think. Yeah, I'm good.
Well, it's always a good day when you talk about color. I mean,
That's true.
So I have that very same question to everybody who I invite, and that is, what is color to you? So what is color to you personally, Stefan?
I am a very colorful person, I would like to identify as. And we're now recording this, and you can see my living room, and I have various colors on the walls and in the ceiling. So I am a very colorful person. I think I like to be. I identify that because it's sort of like it gives you an opportunity to express your personality. So yeah, I'm a very colorful person, I would like to say. I even have red hair a bit nowadays.
That's natural, right? Your hair is
Yeah,
natural? Yeah.
it is natural. But we sort of like help it nowadays at the age we are at. So we help out. Yeah. No, but I am a redhead, and I also identify as a redhead, sort of like a Pippi Longstocking kind of person. So like, yeah, loud and about. That's what I am.
Yes. Well, you are obviously from the Nordics, so that's
Yeah,
a perfect story. And I can see indeed the green reflecting in your
yeah,
shirt.
yeah.
It's all very actually. It reflects back in my earrings. See,
Yeah, yeah,
there's always a red
yeah.
line in color. I love when we talk about color. Like when you talk about specific color, suddenly you see it everywhere.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite color? I mean, that's a kind of tricky question.
It's one of those questions that a lot of people ask me, and I tend to change. I know I'm a yellow person, so when I
Uh-huh.
have the beiges, the sand colors, the
Mm,
soft yellows,
mm,
I tend to shine. I tend
mm,
to be a person that needs to shine with those
mm,
colors, so it's definitely warm. But because of my blue eyes, and today I'm also wearing blue, it's more like a lavender reddish blue. Those are also colors because of, I guess, me being blonde and blue eyes. They fit me very well. I must say that my wardrobe is still not completely adapted to this
mhm,
being a yellow person. I'm still moving
mhm,
into that area slowly,
mhm,
but I
mhm.
stopped buying black.
Good, Judith. Good. I can't understand all these people in the creative industry who are all wandering around the cities wearing black. Or like, who are you? What's your identity? I have one color that I am difficulties with that I really love. I really love apricot and peach, so like at the reddish tones. And every now and then when that comes back as a trend color, I fall in love with it automatically. I love that color, but I cannot wear it because since I'm a redhead and I'm also red skinned, it sort of like clashes, and I can't wear it. But I love it. It's a strong love with that feeling, and I can't have it.
Yeah, that's the same with me with yellow because I'm so also fair skinned, even now living in Madrid, but I'm still fair skinned. There are some yellows
Mm,
that will work and some that won't. So, and I think that's still where people, when I talk about color, that's still where people struggle. They very often go
yeah,
to trend colors, but
yeah,
not necessarily trend colors are the ones that make you feel good and not
yeah,
always the ones that actually suit you very well. And
yeah.
that's very largely what you do. You know, you even are. I mean, I didn't even know your last name. I just saw it
Yeah.
in your bio. So, because I
I
know,
don't have a last name anymore.
no,
I'll
you
skip that.
don't. I still don't know how to name. I'm still thinking about how am I going to call the podcast. Should I
Yeah.
like Trent Stefan, or should I use your full name? I'm not sure if people are going to understand. It's you, and I put Nielsen. So
Either or, that works. I want to be like Princess Diana. I have no last name, That's me.
That is, I mean, that's a strong branding that you have over there. And I think
Yeah.
that is because what you do, you've been doing it for so many years. You do it so exquisitely well. The way also you present, because we met in Prague the first
Yeah.
time in May, I believe.
Mm.
That was just, just the way you speak and the way you present. You have a lot of energy. You travel the world to see what is new, what is innovative, what are people doing, what are they feeling, what are people moved by? Because I think it's all in the emotional level. How do you how do you select where you go and where you don't go? Like, because it's not sometimes it's the same with Milan Design Week. I know you've been too. You're like, oh, this big artist, this is gonna be, and then
Mhm.
you're inside and you're like, meh. But so how do you make your list? How do you, know what where to go and what we're not?
Well, you're asking a big question, lots of like sub-understandings there. You need to have an open mind. So I try to travel to unexpected places. The easy answer to like all the fairs I go to, I'll go to anyone that people invite me to. And I could go to like a bathroom fair. Because you always learn something. And I think that's sort of like you need to keep an open mind. I mean, who wants to go to a bathroom fair? Who wants to do that? But I will go because like you learn something. You learn to that there's like changes in the way the porcelain in the bathroom is evolving, and also colors in bathrooms. So yeah, I'll go anywhere where people invite me to. That's first thing. Secondly, when you go to like a big event like Milan or like Paris is also kind of big, I need to go to where the established brands are. I need to see them because they are sort of like confirming. Maybe they're not ahead of things, but they're confirming something. And then I need to see the younger audience. I need to see the young talents because that's where things are really sort of like happening. But then again, like in Milan, I came across this American Studio Wrapped. I'm against name dropping, so I'm not going to be doing that. But they were called Studio Wrapped, and they did an installation which was about sort of like where is our creativity going? And I think that's one of the key questions of our times. Speaking about like value changes, how the things are changing, and when everyone can do anything on AI, where is creativity leading us? Is it going to be very generic or extremely personalized? It's either or, and they would say that we think that thing will get generic, and I agree. And I think that the new creative things that are standing out and looks different are the new it items that we want to have, not the generic ones.
Hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, that was a long answer to your short
No,
question.
no. It's a good one. No, because I even struggle with that sometimes. Like, should I go or not?
Yeah,
I'm going to Dutch Design Week, because
yeah,
that's where what you said, that's where that first student innovation, that newness is coming from.
yeah,
But I think it's interesting to make that selection. And indeed, you go where people invite you to. That's
yeah,
the first thing. And sometimes you find things in such unexpected
yeah,
fairs or shops or moments.
yeah.
What is a cool hotspot that you see right now and you think that people should really take into account when they're making their agenda?
I think that maybe it's a bit early, but I think that we're going to see a huge focus on Eastern Europe because of cost efficiency. I can see how the whole wine industry right now is moving towards Eastern Europe because wine, everything's getting expensive right now because of inflation and we want to save money. So we're now buying wines from Eastern Europe because they're cheaper still. And I think that also we might see that also from a design perspective. Like maybe we'll buying chairs that were made in the Baltic states or like Romania. So I think they're still lacking a bit of like a level of creativity, but I think maybe there's an opportunity there. I hear people are talking about the design week in Bucharest. I haven't been, but maybe we will see that. But otherwise than that, I think that where is the most creative hub in Europe? I'll have to say that the large established cities need to be like mentioned. So yes, Milan, yes, Paris, not necessarily London right now, but maybe that will come. Not Berlin from a design perspective, from an art perspective, yes, but not from a design perspective. So yeah, Paris and Milan, yeah, and maybe Spain, and I think also Lisbon, and is kind of interesting right now.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely for when it comes to textiles, ceramics,
Yeah.
there's a lot happening in the art world as well, but those are definitely emerging. You know, the
Yeah.
south is slowly emerging, which is indeed interesting.
I keep
It's
my eye out for Valencia in Spain because also they have the industry surrounding that city. So I think that could also be like potentially like an interesting destination.
Yeah, I'm thinking about going to Habitat in September just to have a
Yeah.
feel about what that's about because I've never been and it's a relatively new
Yeah.
fair. So it's going to be interesting. Talking about fair season, now it's sort of like June indeed is slow. I mean, unless you obviously went to NeonCon in Chicago, I tried to do my fairs within Europe, not so much
Yeah.
locally. But now that fair season is slowing down, but there's always a design fair, just like we just said, Heimtextil, Stockholm, Milan, Paris. It seems you almost can never. Palma, you went to Xant as well. What is a red line from what you can see from the first part of this year, of what you see when it comes to trends? Or is there something that you see popping up in several cities and several fairs?
Yeah, I'll have my list. I'll need to look at my papers. I prepared for this meeting, of course I did. I think that the whole design industry is pretty affected. I mean, what happened also, you need to look at it sort of like a larger scope. A whole interior design industry exploded during the pandemic because people were investing in their homes. And then when we sort of like opened the doors and we could go out, people completely stopped investing and buying things for interior homes, also for offices, completely stopped. And then you had the energy crisis, and then you had the financial crisis, and then you have a recession. I mean, so from like a super high, it came a deep, 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 deep low. And I think that we still see the afterbirth of that, meaning that we see like people are afraid. People are not investing in not new designer names or new design or new aesthetics. Everything basically looks the same, but the only thing that's different from last year is the color. So there's a huge focus on colors, but the actual design is not different. So the sofa is the same from last year, but it's a new color. The chair is the same as from last year, but a new color. The candle holder, everything is the same, but a new color. So that's where the focus is. But I've seen that we're actually now getting closer to a shift. I talked about that American studio that was talking about where is this new creativity going. And I saw that also in Milan, where there were like talks about, okay, so we're now working from home. You are working from home and I'm working from home. So who needs an office? Or what should an office look like? Or what should our homes look like? So there's like a larger question actually rising right now, which is like, what is a home? What is a kitchen? Should we cook in the kitchen, or should we have like Fedoras or whatever those food delivery brands you have? Or should they be doing that, or should we have the kitchen as something else? I have my kitchen in my living room right now, and is that the future of the home, or is it something different? So these questions are quite interesting, but no one is taking a stand and saying it's this. People are just having like the conversation, but no one is giving a firm answer saying like, okay, so this is the answer.
Yeah. People are waiting. I feel like
Yeah,
we're on pause. And
yeah,
what I always see, when you do trends, you look at what's happening in the world, and I
yeah,
think generally everybody is waiting for what's happening politically,
yeah,
in not just in Europe, but we all know that the American elections
yeah,
have a very big influence on everything we do and what
yeah.
we buy and our economy. I hope this is not going to be like this until November, but but it is something that influences a lot. I feel people are not daring. I
Yeah,
think people daring, except they're daring more with color.
yeah,
That's what I'm seeing. But they're not daring enough when it comes to real innovation and real
yeah,
novel. They're not putting themselves out there. And you see that in the fairs. Everybody's working with these high-end top designers.
yeah,
And it's like literally 5 names
yeah,
that are working with the big brands. And it's lovely. They do amazing work. But there is a lot of great people, I think, in
yeah.
the world.
I totally agree. I'm so bored with these 5 names. We don't have to give out these names to the audience, but I think we all know who they are. Because I mean, every brand out there is working with like 5 people, and they're reoccurring on all these other places. And I was like, yeah, give me a new name. But that's why I was really happy when I went to Copenhagen and I could see a big brand like Vitra is now doing new things with people I've never heard of. And regardless of the outcome of that sofa, I just love that they're working with new people because it gives me a reason to fall in love again. And that's also this is also why this industry is so appealing, because you fall in love. You fall in love with people, you fall in love with pieces, you fall in love with opportunities. And falling in love is a big part of my job. And I love falling in love. And I need that. And yeah, these 5 names, I've seen them so much.
We know what they can do, and I think that's the whole safe playing that a lot of brands are doing. Everybody wants to go safe, and then indeed it gets a little bit boring, right?
Yeah.
But we talk about those colors, because yes, the
Yeah.
color game, people are, improving their color
Yeah.
game. That's for sure. What are the colors that you really see that are really out there and that you would even suggest people to do something with,
Yeah.
because you feel that they're new as well?
Yeah. Can I ask you a question? Am I allowed? I think that the whole trend game right now, especially with colors, is like exploding so fast. And I was just wondering, is it me or do you see that as well? Let me give you an example. At the beginning of the year, we saw the colors at textile fairs like Heim Textile. People were talking about yellows and purple. I know you were working with the purple and yellows. And then all of a sudden you go to Milan and it's all about burgundy. And then you go to Copenhagen and it's all about pale blues. It's like we're leaving. I mean, colors are not right now lasting for more than 2-3 months. Or do you see the same thing as I am? Or
I think it's difficult. I find it ever more difficult because with most clients that I work with, it's a yearly, it's not even seasonal.
yeah,
And it becomes trickier because if one client asks me a project today, I'll have certain colors. But then if a client, even in a similar market, asks me colors 2-3 months ago, or probably in the next 3 months, I'll
yeah,
probably have different colors again because I'm seeing other things.
yeah,
And I feel that the standard of what we say is color trends, I think,
yeah,
is wider and wider.
yeah,
And it doesn't mean that somebody's right and the other person is wrong, but I do feel there's a lot of choice. But I think that choice is confusing brands as well.
right, right,
Because people are like,
right.
and I saw like the icy blues,
Yeah,
burgundy, and the chartreuse is still all over
yeah,
the place in
yeah.
Milan. And then if you don't see that in other fairs, people are like, oh, but maybe then I got to
It's
go.
out. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I think that something's happening with color right now, and it's enormously interesting because it's like exploding so much, and the colors are so important right now. People are talking about the exact neons of burgundy or the exact neons of that icy blue. It's not like, oh, it's going to be a light blue. No, people are specific, like hardcore. It's going to be that one, and I think that's kind of interesting to see how that's evolving as well right now. I think that we're going to see more colors, but I think that we're going to be also seeing a stop of colors soon.
Yeah. Which
Um,
color do you feel are like, yeah, no, been there, done that, stop it, stop using them?
there's one color that I really like that I see is not so very common, which is like orange. I like orange. Orange is a color that I'm emotionally attached to because I'm a redhead. And there's no orange, nothing orange at all. And I think that also people are using the words. I don't think that people are using color experts enough, because I think that also people could be working with color experts. There's like plenty of them, and maybe find the color combination that's good for a brand, sort of what their stands for, and not just follow the burgundy trend because that's happening right now. Maybe you should do a yellow trend, yeah, more yellow red, and not so blue red as burgundy could be. More like chili or tomato, and not as blue as burgundy could be. And I think that people are putting their color choices in the hands of designers, and designers are not necessarily good at colors. They are good at design, and they're good at doing chairs, and that's what they should be doing. A color expert should be something else. They should be brought along and do the color of the chair. What suits a kitchen? Maybe yellow and green and red aren't the perfect kitchen colors for chairs. Maybe it's something else.
Well, as a color expert, I fully agree with that, obviously.
I'm
I,
not surprised.
I think also with orange, what we still see is obviously the whole terracotta. You
Yeah, yeah,
still
yeah,
see the burnt oranges and the dark. They're not new, but I have the feeling they're becoming this new neutral. Like they're
yeah,
They're just somehow staying together with all
Yeah.
the reds, browns, and the beiges and the sands. Like they're like
Yeah.
a neutral palette that seems to always be popping up. And I feel
Right.
like when it comes to any with color to product or whatever you're doing, in my work, I see clients using less trends. They want me to look more at the market, their brand, and their product.
Yeah.
Not it doesn't make it easier, but yeah, to go with the color of the year and then just stick it on everything,
Yeah.
it's definitely not working. And especially orange is a beautiful color. I fully agree with you, but it's also a very difficult color to apply in interior
Yeah.
designs.
Right. Totally.
For product, but in interior designs, it's always a bit it's tricky. Like
Yeah.
sometimes yellow and like sometimes purple. Purple is one
Yeah.
of those colors that just psychologically people are like, oh no, no purple. It's funny. It's funny. I don't know why that is.
Yeah, yeah, but I think that I think it's so funny with colors because people are so emotional about colors. I think that's super, super interesting. I mean, from my generation, I'm super old, Judith. But from my generation, for instance, blue has a certain like association with it because blue is very conservative. My parents would be using blue when I was brought up, and so blue is a very like boring color. I would not be using blue. I mean, now I have a turquoise on my in my living room, but that's not really the blue I'm talking about. So yeah, I think it's interesting that people are associating things with colors.
Yep. Yeah, it's interesting that more people want to know about color, so
Yeah,
they understand color. That's very much
yeah,
what I'm seeing in my work. But when we mostly talk about design and color and trends, but what is the first thing before all of that is lifestyle.
yeah.
How are people moving? What are behaving? What are eating? What's going on? What do you see coming up that you think is going to be big?
That's
Or
still a big question. I could answer a short and easy answer, and that's saying that I think that I mean nostalgia is huge, and you heard me say that on stage, and I think that we're going to maintain nostalgia for a while because it's likable, and we need likable things right now because it's a scary world. So, uh, yeah. Do you know, for instance, also I'm returning a question to you. Do you know when do you use animal prints? What's sort of like circumstances makes you use animal prints?
I
Recession. The answer is
have
recession.
yeah,
During recessions, we always use animal prints, and you can see that also in patterns right now, also in fabrics or furniture pieces, how zebra and leopard and everything is like animal prints because it's a recession. And I think that we need to be confirming that we have a recession. We're going to be continuing that. So, and I think that also, therefore, you have nostalgia. Nostalgia is a safe space you go to. I mean, there's also a niceness with it. We're looking for nice attitudes. I heard that, and I double checked it, and also the listeners can do. I heard that Selfridges turned the whole department store in London into a fun house. So like all the window displays were like laughing mirrors, whatever you call it in English, and there was like happy people like showing you around into the department store. So like I think that all this niceness is enormously important. I see also like especially in the food segment how people are now experimenting with food. Today I saw that Pringles, you know, the potato chip, Pringles is now collaborating with the Caviar House, so you can do your caviar tasting with Pringles. That's super strange, but
yeah.
also kind of funny. It makes you laugh, you know. Yeah, we need that.
Like the pop art movement, pop
Yeah,
art. I mean, pop art. I feel also art-wise that is coming again back. It has its cycles, but it is that fun part because pop art is fun and not necessarily that's only Andy Warhol. I'm talking
yeah,
Ronnie Cotrone. I'm talking Basquiat.
yeah,
Henry.
exactly,
There's a
exactly.
lot of these. We here in Madrid we have I think also a museum of fun. So I mean that's
Oh yeah,
just fun and laughing, and I think
yeah,
that's
yeah,
what we need. But I
yeah,
totally agree on the nostalgia. And yes, I'm
yeah.
guilty. I have a zebra chair, so which is so kitsch, but I kind of like it
Yeah,
because
yeah, 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 yeah. Enjoy it, enjoy it. Find your own flavor. I mean, I think it's fine. But I think that as I mean, again, as an overview of our lifestyle, I think that consumerism is absolutely challenged right now. And I think that nostalgia is a way to approach that, meaning that so like you could do things with old things or vintage or upcycling or whatever you want to do, but you don't want to buy new things. Today, also, I told you about the Pringles and the caviar thing. Today, I also saw that the fashion brand Jacquemus, do you say that? Jacquemus? Yeah, I'm not so good at French. They opened a flower shop in Paris where they used upcycled fabrics that they're not using anymore to cover sort of like the bouquet of the flowers. And again, that's a way of working with your brand as doing something different. I think the flowers is super intelligent, but also then the upcycling aspect of wrapping the flowers in fabrics they're not using them is super interesting. That's
Yeah,
something we see.
it's small things and it's small
Yeah,
moments, but I think they're interesting and they're good. So when nostalgia obviously means nostalgia is something that comes back and very often
yeah,
it comes back when we are in a recession or when
yeah,
yeah, shit hits the fan, which literally yes.
yeah,
How important it we all look back because
yeah,
a lot of people say, well, yeah, you need to watch the future. Yes, but you also need
yeah,
to watch the past.
yeah,
How do you observe the past and to see what may happen? Like what cycles do you see, whether
yeah,
that's a 5-year cycle or 10-year cycle or even a bigger one? How do you do that research and feel when something is really having it?
yeah. It's with all the trends as in general. First, I mean, you need to see how something is emerging. That's the seed, something interesting. I talked to you about the cases of Pringles and the Jacquemus. These are seeds. And when people are copying that and making it more commercially available, when it comes to Zara and H&M, then it's reached full circle and then it's available. So, and that's that sort of like lifespan from the seed with someone who's doing something creatively interesting. And then when it becomes mass market, that's usually 2 or 3 years. Usually, and sometimes it speeds up and sometimes it slows down, but usually that's a cycle of 2 or 3 years. So I think that we're going to be. I've seen nostalgia now for 2 or 3 years. So I think that my eyes are now wandering to the next thing. But for the mass market, again, depending on who you're talking to, are you talking to a brand who are in the terms of creating something? Yes, go for nostalgia. But if you're a designer or a creative person who wants to do something that stands out, don't do nostalgia, do something else. I know that people are talking a lot about wellness and longevity. We're now living longer. I have difficulty seeing how that's going to be becoming products. I think that's more like an attitude. But then again, people are talking about it, but I'm waiting to see the first actual examples of products.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that. I'm
Yeah,
waiting for
it's
that.
very healthcare oriented. Health.
Yeah,
You think of bigger, tech companies as well, whether we like that or not. But I think
yeah,
when I think about wellness and healing and all of that, it's also very how color can help in that.
definitely.
Is moving away from what then really is color trends. Although you can still adapt those softer, tranquil colors, but and I think color can be very healing, and I think we're moving into that area as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You can use color to just feel better during your
Yeah,
day.
yeah. But also performance-wise, I mean, sometimes you need colors to sharpen your focus, and sometimes you need to have colors that sort of like opens your mind for creativity or other thinking. So color can help that. It's like strong colors that's sharpening, or softer colors are relaxing. I mean, so that's
Yep.
I think that absolutely you can work with colors in that sense. But I think that also it's important to change. I mean, you should not be in the same room the whole day. I mean, work-wise or whatever.
Or
Yeah.
color wise.
Or color wise, yeah, yeah. Look how complex nature is. I mean, I think it's super impressive. I think there's also something that we're looking to right now, and we're going to be doing that for a long time. We're looking at into nature. I'm not saying biophilic design because that's like the trend of 5 years ago or something. But I think that maybe not necessarily take in nature, but rather be out in nature and then just wandering around and let your minds drift. I think that's something I think we'll see.
Think the outdoor, which has started with COVID, we're only at the
Yeah,
beginning of it. I mean, I see it very much in other countries where the climate is even drier. So I'm looking at
yeah,
Mexico. There's just literally, I mean, those beautiful haciendas,
yeah,
they don't even have walls. They just have a
yeah,
roof in case sometimes, you need to
yeah,
be protected for some rain. But
yeah,
and then they have this brutalist movement. The brutalist movement in Mexico and Latin America, but also in Spain, is very
yeah,
big in architecture wise and interior design wise. And it's interesting because you almost don't see that difference between the surrounding, which is very
Yeah.
rocky, deserty, cacti, and the house. So it's
Yeah.
really more that movement, and that's not biophilia. This is just
Yeah.
completely integrating yourself in
Yeah.
your surroundings, which is
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, which
I still think that the cities will be like magnets. I still think like on a mega trend long term basis. I think that cities will be still be magnets, and we want to go to cities and be young and go to clubs and meet people. So cities will be destinations. But I think that also that there's a talk of other things. I think that cities are also trying to become more like have like at least have a park section. I think that absolutely the concept of the line in New York, it's not new. What is it, 20 years, 15, 20 years or so? I think that cities want to have that so you can be close to something that looks like nature, but in the city.
yeah, yeah. And another topic that I've been following closely is migration due to
Yeah,
climate change.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
it's,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
this is going to be big as well. So this is
Absolutely,
very interesting
absolutely.
for our homes, how we're going to protect ourselves. I just had a
Mm.
talk yesterday with somebody who says that in Dubai, most apartments now don't even have windows because windows makes light come in, and that's
Yeah,
mean.
yeah,
And I'm just like, we're gonna live in bunkers, literally.
yeah.
Like, that makes me just completely depressed. Like,
Yeah,
no
yeah,
matter
yeah,
if you use color
yeah.
inside, I'll be
Yeah, yeah,
depressed.
yeah, 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 yeah. And I totally agree. I totally agree. I totally agree. I think that also migration and climate changes are enormously important and going to be affecting our lives. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. In a recent interview, very interesting, you said that we are slowly moving away from these neutrals. We see these people obsessed with color. Is is it that we are obsessed with color, or that more people know about color and people are adapting color? Why do you think that is? Is it just because it's fun, or are we really finally learning how to apply color?
Oh,
Yeah.
I wish the later was true. I think where our eyes are wandering to people who have the self-esteem to play around with colors. There's no right or wrong. I mean, you have the living room. You see that in the picture, and maybe you'll do a snapshot, or I'll send you a picture, regardless of my living room where I am in. When I did this living room, I had a Norwegian color expert help me, and she colored the ceiling. It's actually sandy. You see the white here on the wall, so it's sandy. And she said the city of Stockholm is like built of houses that have a sandy hue. It's not terracotta, it's sandy. So the reflections from the outside comes in with the sandy hue in the ceiling. So, and I think that people are just playing around. And I think that this is something and there's also a way to talk about not buying things. You're just adding colors. I love that people are playing with colors. They have a door in a different color. They have a windowsill in a different color. It's like I just love that people are playing around with that, and I think that's a new kind of creativity. I think that the whole creative cluster of color experts, it's still kind of new, and I think that we should have more of that. I think that we should have like schools. We have schools that teach designers. We should have schools that teach like color experts, and we should have that. There's no right and wrong. It's just about having more. I don't get tired of glasses. I know there's like tons of people making glasses. I'm not tired of glasses. This is a glass of water. It's like still early, so I'm not drinking anything else but water. So I mean, yeah, more colors. There's no right or wrong.
Yeah.
I think that also the paint, the wall paint companies should tone down a bit and let other people play the role of using colors.
There's a lot of these new ones on Instagram, which I love.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
a lot of creativity there. And also, I get that you don't buy a new sofa and everything
mm,
every year because not we can't afford that. And also it wouldn't be sustainable. But
mm,
just to change the color of your walls, that's something you could even do every year if you want, or even often.
yeah.
And a friend of mine always says, if you want to experiment with color, just start with the bathroom or with
Oh yeah,
the little room in the house,
right.
and just go
Yeah,
crazy there because just
yeah.
and see what effects it has on you. So it's interesting advice. I think those start with the small things and
I agree.
do
I
what you
totally agree.
yeah, do what makes you feel good.
I had this conversation the other week about with a woman who had a super small kitchen, which is like not everyone has a huge kitchen. I mean, it was super small kitchen, and she experimented with color in that room, that small kitchen room. And I think again, yeah, start with the small thing, and then you'll see it's not so scary, and you will not get tired of it, and you'll adopt, and you'll love a new color next year. I
Yeah,
think it's nice. I
totally
think it's
true.
nice.
How do you think when we look at a couple of years ago and where we are now with color, where do you think we're going to move next? Or where would you like us to move next when it comes to color and material as well? Because you can't really separate the two of them. What do you think is coming next now that we have this huge color bubble, a little bit all over the place? It's not
Yeah,
very centered.
yeah.
Are we going to be more centered in the near future, you feel?
Yes, I think that absolutely. I think that we're now, quite recently, we're starting to see stars in this industry. There's a Swedish girl that's called Teklan, and she's, yeah, I mean, yeah, and I think that there are other people out there as well, of course. And I think what they are contributing with is like they're actually working with colors, and I think that's super interesting. And she is amazing in what she's doing. She has a playful approach to it. It's not difficult. It's just a matter of love. I talk about this whole trend and design industry about falling in love, and you get the same sensation with her as well. She's falling in love with a specific hue of yellow or a specific hue of reds. I mean, you're falling in love with something, and that's fine. When we have that, we have these kind of like stars that sort of like also have a professional angle. They're not doing it just for the fun of it, but they're actually professionals. Then it's going to level up. And I think that we're not done with this leveling up. I think that we're going to have, as well as we have these 5 designer names, maybe we will have 5 color experts that are like talking about that. I think that you can also look at the British designer Yinka Ilori. What he's doing is also super interesting. What he's doing, he's talking about colors that make you happy, and it's like, yeah, it's we need people to talk about colors from a different angle, and not necessarily doing a chair. They can talk about red and not do a chair. Yeah, we're just on the beginning of this. There's going to be more.
Yeah, and oh no, I'm already seeing that pop up with Matthew Williamson, obviously, but
Oh
also
yeah, yeah.
the Brazilian lot. He does amazing. He has
Oh
amazing
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Instagram as well.
Amazing. Yeah, he's also one of those people. Totally amazing. So
It,
if listen, if you, the listeners, if you do not follow Michel Lott, it's a must. He's on Instagram, and he's my #1 Instagram account now. So like every picture, you fall in love with everything in that picture. Yeah,
yeah, now that I'm in Spain, I'm also following a lot. I mean, I followed them before, but maybe it is because my surrounding has changed in the
yeah,
last 6 months. Like Patricia Bustos, like I love her color
hmm,
game because it's exactly my color game.
yeah,
It's those
yeah,
soft yellows and soft lilacs. But there's there's so much new talent that is popping up that I'd wish they would be
yeah,
more visible.
yeah.
I'd wait.
I think that um I think it's a very feminine driven industry. I mean, a lot of these stars are female or have like a female
I'm
association
so
with
happy
them.
to have you on because yesterday everybody went through my Instagram and they said, "So is this a feminist podcast? Because I'm only seeing women." I'm like, just scroll down. There's men, but seriously, it
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah,
very female driven.
yeah. And I think that there's going to be like a hindrance there. Some perhaps like men architects are going to be saying like, no, we don't do colors. We only wear black. We don't do colors because they're afraid. I think it definitely should look at houses also from a color perspective. I know that the Norwegian color expert Dagny, she's the one who's doing my house. She's talking about architecture a lot. So she's doing like color of the houses, like, and I think that also one of the conversations for the future, like how do we make our city feel safe? We have gang violence. I mean, there's like a safety issue out there, and maybe the houses should not be gray, or maybe they should like different tones of like pastel. I don't know, but we should have this conversation. Maybe colors will make you feel safer in the city.
Yep. I'm seeing a lot of articles lately on some modern architecture and also on few there's a lot of posts and articles on how the world used to like, especially obviously in what is Europe. We have beautiful architecture that's very old, and then you sometimes see those new buildings and you're just like, what
Yeah,
happened here?
yeah,
Like, and we are becoming more gray and gray. And I do think that color, if you beautify a
yeah,
neighborhood using color, people
yeah,
tend to care more about it. You
Yeah.
know, they tend
Yeah.
to care more about their neighborhood. They want to keep it clean. They want to keep it perhaps safe.
Mm.
It's a different area, and I think definitely there's something that we can do about that.
Yeah. Yeah, we lost the whole conversation. I mean, just look at the Bauhaus movement and Corbusier. I mean, there's so much colors. We've just lost it somewhere.
Industrialization is not always a great thing, and
Yeah.
it's the whole playing safe, and I think that's
Yeah.
the biggest issue. We play safe, and that is for longevity, and things need to last long, and I get that, but why can't orange last long? Why not?
Yeah.
I don't see an issue there personally. But yeah, it's I think a lot of people just, they need to up their game when it comes to especially color. But what makes your heart tick?
What does make my heart tick? I want to be surprised.
Mm.
I want to be knocked off my feet. The unexpected, absolutely. I think that's key. And when someone's been thinking, I mean, these are the meetings I have with the young creatives. This is what I see when I go to Eindhoven or to the younger designers in Milan. That's what I see there. I go to all the design schools in Sweden to see what they're doing. Right now, the whole generation of these younger designers are very conservative as well. I think they're being affected by COVID, and they're also being fostered like, oh, if you want to be a designer, you should be safe. You should do something commercial. So I see more creativity in the fashion industry right now than I do in the design industry. How people are experimenting with aesthetics and their looks and whatever. I see more of that in the fashion industry than in the interior design industry. I see some, but they tend to stay small and very like local and very small oriented. They don't want to grow, and that's okay. But I wanted to see something else. But so my heart runs when I see something that sort of like changes the way our lifestyle is. Did you go to that soft porn exhibition in Milan? Did you go to that one, Judith? You did. You're nodding your head. You did. I did not. But that's like a newness to it. I didn't go because I didn't have time. But maybe we need to have a new conversation about sensuality. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe we're too rational right now. So things that sort of like makes my mind go. That's what I like. That's what I like.
Yeah, you see a little bit more roundness coming through again. I have the feeling.
Yeah.
And there's roundness coming through, and then obviously, what Faye did for Root Arts, that already.
Yeah.
She spoke a lot about sensuality, sexuality as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And depending where you are in the world, obviously, where you
Yeah.
can talk about that. I mean, I think that's very
Yeah.
European, that's very European driven. But it's interesting. Yeah, the whole being surprised, I have to be honest, it hasn't happened in a while. Like that, like
No, but that's true though, especially in Milan. I think that everything was okay, but I mean, it's very like the most surprising thing in Milan was that people were queuing 6 hours to go to the Gucci exhibition. Why? 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 Why do people queue for 6 hours to see six pieces? Why? I don't understand that.
yeah, no, that's something I don't understand. I don't queue. Like I queue maximum half an hour.
You flash your VIP card going like, hello, I'm Judith.
It's the color authority.
Exactly, exactly.
The name tends to work. Yeah. You don't only do trend research, obviously. You work with your design gallery as
Yeah,
well.
I do. Yeah.
Super interesting. I mean, what type of design do you display? Talk a little bit about how you research pieces. How does that work?
So I do have the gallery space, which is now mobile because there's no money in galleries. Sorry to say. I mean, all these listeners is thinking they're going like, "Oh, I want to open a design gallery." Don't. The answer is no. But I think it's fun. I think it's an opportunity for me to meet other people, to work with them closer. I do some exhibitions also with the museums, mainly in Sweden, of course, because I'm based here. And I think that all this sort of like putting things on display is really interesting. I don't know, again, we're talking about Milan, but that's also something we did recently together. Did you go to Triennale? to see the exhibition that Inga Sempea did. What she did was she made an installation basically like a living room or like a house, like a flat apartment, and you could walk in between her things and touch it. And I think sometimes we put design on pedestal, and what she did was taking it sort of like, oh no, you can sit on the sofa. No, you can touch the lamp. That's okay. No, you can look at the bookshelf. You can take out the book if you want to out of the bookshelf. And I think that's also design. Sometimes we forget that these are things that we actually should have in our surroundings. And if I can't touch it, what use it is it? So that was a good so I like exhibitions. I do like exhibitions. It's also part of my world and that I live with. I try to promote fairly young designers, unestablished designers, not only exclusively, but I try to do that because also again, I want to find the new talents. I want to think, but find out what they are thinking about. How are they doing things? So that's a way for me to understand this generation and how that's changing.
And you get inspired by a new way of thinking as
Yeah,
well. It changes
yeah,
I mean, that's the whole me also being part of color marketing group. It's the talking
yeah,
to all people, it's the community. It is sometimes you feel you're very,
yeah,
going one directed because you
yeah,
are a freelancer and you are in one market.
yeah,
It's good to just talk to other people. I think that's what when I teach some of my students, like it's the first thing, talk to people you don't know. And
yeah,
it's scary. Like people are like, oh, but yeah, but
yeah,
just ask and
yeah,
ask the five whys. Also,
yeah,
also what I teach. And if the five won't work, go to the 10. If you want to
yeah,
find a solution to things,
yeah.
it's in a very small thing sometimes.
Yeah, I also do like my interviews with basically everyone, and I think it's also important to listen to that. I mean, talking to big brand names is not necessarily interesting. They're just trying to answer the correct answer. So they're very boring from an interview perspective, but rather talk to other people. I talk to, as I said, I go to all these fairs that people are inviting me to. And I also talk to all these people who I come across. I'm constantly talking, as you realize. So I'm like, so why? Why are you doing this? How? What are you going next? I mean, these are like, yeah, understanding the world we're in.
Yeah, it's curiosity, which is the first
Yeah,
thing that you should have. Yeah.
yeah.
You never get tired of researching. You never get tired of the new. You just don't want to sometimes sit in a black room and not think and not observe the world.
Well, the thing is, like, I need to differ trends from myself. So it's an understand. People are very often misunderstanding the concept, and especially media, like TV channels or something else, would come up to me and say, like, "Oh, can we not follow you when you start a trend?" And I'm like, "But that's not what I do. I'm trying to analyze why we're doing things. I'm not starting something. I'm not a trend setter. I'm a side viewer. I'm looking
An
from the side and
observer.
trying to, yeah. So um getting tired? No, because I want to understand our world. No, I don't get tired. No, I can get frustrated, but not tired. I get frustrated because I don't understand, or things are too slow, or something like. And also sometimes when I'm wrong, which is like enormously frustrating. But I said frogs were going to be in, but they're not, and then I'm frustrated. Why did not frogs happen?
Yeah.
The animal frogs, for instance. Yeah. Mushrooms happened like a year or two ago, and then I was thinking, like, what's coming after the mushrooms? Maybe it should be frogs. Yeah, let's say frogs, and it wasn't. There are no
That's
frogs out
good.
there.
But that's good to acknowledge because everybody's very focused on where are we going, future trends,
Yeah,
future colors, but nobody really checks in with
yeah,
not even with themselves whether they're right. And also, it's okay and it's normal to be wrong because
yeah,
nobody has this glass bowl.
yeah.
And also, it's not mathematics. There's no
No,
certainty. Life is not
no.
here. People change all the time. So that's why trends and color change all the time because
Yeah,
people change.
yeah. No. A trend analyst, as we are, it's an analytical perspective, and that's my analysis. That's my thinking. That's what I think, and then therefore, to me, I'm very happy that I'm on my own. I don't have a big brand behind myself. Well, I have the Trendstefan brand, but I don't have like a company behind me. It's not McDonald's. I'm just me myself. So it's my thinking. And so when I am on stage, I'm giving the audience my perspective of what I see we're going. And I have these sort of like resources. I do these 30 plus fairs per year. I do these statistical resources. I do these interviews, and these are my tools to be able to do something clearly. And of course, there's a selection. We only have like a certain amount of time, so I cannot talk about everything that's happening out there and where we're going. But on a limited space, this is where we are, and these are the most important things where we're going to. And that's what I do
And then it's up
every
to
day.
the designers and the brands to take and pick
Yeah,
what they really think
yeah,
fits their brand
yeah.
and try it out.
Yeah, I want to I want to move into that more for the future. I want to be more like I want people to be feeling that they should not sit in the chair and say yes, but rather yes and take the information I say and use it from their perspective. So when I say that checkered patterns are coming or leopard patterns are coming, they should take this information. I would say like, okay, so many percent of checkered patterns are increasing. More and more brands are doing checkered patterns. This and this design is doing checkered patterns. And then a brand or designer should say like, okay, but I will do it from my perspective. That's what I want to give them. So they should not follow, but rather be inspired.
No, I think that's true. There is too much copy pasting happening.
Yeah.
Still, and that's not good for the world. I mean, I hate traveling the world and seeing the same things because that's not
Yeah.
why I travel. Stefan, thank you so much for this talk and for sharing your knowledge with the Color Authority podcast.
Thank you for having me. It was lovely seeing you again. And I'll see you soon. We're going to have our secret meeting after summer, you and I.
Yes.
Secret meeting. Don't tell anyone now.
I hope you enjoyed this last episode before the summer. What do you mean summer? Yes, I'm not taking my summer holidays in August. I'll be taking my summer holidays in September. So this was the last episode for now. We'll see each other back in October. And in the meantime, make sure you rate the Color Authority podcast and let us know your feedback on what you enjoyed most. So happy August, happy September, and we'll speak back in October.